Can the majority belong? Hi everyone, today I'd like to discuss one of the most fundamental questions in democracy. Can the majority belong? Democracy is often described as government by the people. In democratic societies, important political decisions are usually made according to the will of the majority. This principle gives citizens an equal voice and allows governments to derive their legitimacy from public consent. At first glance, majority rule seems both fair and practical. If people disagree, allowing the majority to decide appears to be the most reasonable solution. However, history reminds us that the majority is not always right. In many countries, majorities once supported slavery, racial segregation, or the denial of voting rights to women. At the time, these policies reflected the will of many citizens. Today, however, they are widely recognized as serious violations of human rights. These examples suggest that democratic legitimacy and moral correctness are not always the same. Supporters of majority rule respond that democracy is still the best available system. No individual or small group can consistently determine what is right for an entire society. Allowing citizens to vote respects political equality and provides a peaceful way to resolve disagreements. Moreover, democratic decisions can be challenged. If the majority makes a mistake, future elections allow society to correct it. This capacity for self-correction is one of democracy's greatest strengths. Nevertheless, many political philosophers argue that democracy requires more than majority rule. It also requires constitutional limits. Fundamental rights such as freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and equality before the law should not depend entirely on popular opinion. If a majority could simply vote to eliminate the rights of a minority, democracy itself would become unstable. For this reason, many democratic constitutions established independent courts that review legislation and protect constitutional rights. These institutions do not reject democracy. Instead, they ensure that majority decisions remain consistent with fundamental constitutional principles. In my opinion, majority rule is essential because it gives citizens equal political participation. However, the majority should not possess unlimited power. Democracy must combine majority rule with constitutional protections for individual rights and minority interests. Otherwise, democracy risks becoming what political thinkers have called the tyranny of the majority. Ultimately, democracy is not simply a method for counting votes. It is a constitutional system that balances popular sovereignty with the protection of fundamental rights. Only when both principles are respected can democracy remain both legitimate and just. So here's my question for you. If the majority voted to restrict the fundamental rights of a majority, should the courts overturn that decision? Or should the majority's will always prevail? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for listening. See you next time.